5 themes of geography. So these notes were given on September 2nd, and then I did a brief overview of these notes again on September 3rd. And this recording is for the playlist on September 4th. This is the Flex Friday overview of these notes. So 5 themes. There are 5 themes to geography, and it is a-okay to not know an exact order. You don't have to know an exact order. We just need to know that there are 5. Okay, so the first we have is location. Everyone has used absolute and relative location in their lifetime. We usually use relative more often than absolute. So location is describing where something is on Earth. We want to know the location. Some of you have smartphones where you can share your location with friends or family. That's what it is. Where are you located? Now, absolute is something you've used when you give an address. So this is a pretend address, but example, where do you live? Oh, well, I live at 123 Park Avenue, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. You can also give latitude and longitude coordinates. In our class, we will not place latitude and longitude points on a map. I'll point them out, but those aren't activities and those aren't skills that we have to know. You might answer the question, where do you live? I live about 15 minutes away. That's an example of relative location. So we're describing where you are in relation to another place. So if you say, going to my friend's house, they're a couple blocks away, I'm going to walk to the store, it's just a few minute walk. Oh, it's down yonder. Oh, it's just a little ways down the road. Those are examples. And on the screen I say I live 2 hours north of Charlotte, and that's referencing Charlotte, North Carolina. We don't know exactly where you live, but we have a relative idea of your location. An example is if a student signed up for Crosby Scholars, they have a volunteer event that's about 18 minutes away from home. So they tell their parent, oh, it's about 18 minutes, because the parent doesn't have to know exactly where it is, because that student's grandparent is picking them up. So that's when the student would give the exact address to the grandparent to know where you're dropping off and where you're picking up. Now, place. Location and place do sound similar just in name, but place is describing physical and human characteristics. Where are you based on what is around you? Not trying to get from point A to point B, but what's around you at point A. 2 ways to describe place is with physical characteristics or human characteristics. Physical characteristics, there are landforms. You could also use climate and height about above sea level, which is also known as elevation. So around Forsyth County, we have mountains and there's a river. I'm referencing Pilot Mountain, Hanging Rock. We could also talk about the Blue Ridge, that's about an hour away from us. And then there's the Yadkin River, which is a border between Forsyth County and Davie County. If I say I live on a hill past a clump of trees, I'm using landforms, things in the physical, natural world to describe where I am. So describing place using human characteristics. Here, downtown Winston has a few skyscrapers and is considered a mid-sized city. Another example is, hey, I am beside the brick building that is also across from the Winston Tower. Okay, I'm using man-made things to describe where I'm at. Region. Region describes similarities you might find in a place. So, location, where are you? Place, what's around you right now? Region, tell us more about the area that you're in. So some examples of regions could be due to language, culture, accent, dialect, and similar historical background. So generally the US is divided into regions based on location, like we've got the Northeast, the Midwest, the West Coast, the South. Those are regions, but within the South, for example, there are so many different accents and dialects. So people in Louisiana are going to talk different from people in Florida. But within each of those states, there are different regions of accents and dialects. In North Carolina, we have 3 geographical regions. We have the coast, we have the Piedmont or the foothills, and then we have the mountains. In North Carolina, we also have some regions based on food. We have Eastern style barbecue, which is, like in the name, it is the eastern part of the state, and then we have Lexington style barbecue, which physically our location is within that Lexington style barbecue region. Also, with accents and dialects within North Carolina, people on the coast are going to talk differently from people in the Appalachian Mountains. In the US, there are certain regions where we could use regions to describe, do you call it soda? Do you call it pop? Or do you call it soda pop? Here, we normally call it soda. Number 4, movement. Movement describes how people, goods, information, and culture have reached a particular place. So with movement, we're not concerned with how humans have changed their environment to move, but where have they moved from? Where are they headed? And when people are traveling, whether migration, immigration, for permanent reasons, or to trade goods, you also take information and culture with you and you exchange that. In the ancient civilizations that we learn about, it takes days, weeks, months, years to travel from a location to another location. So you are obviously going to spend the night places, you are going to meet people along the way and have conversations, and you're going to exchange information and culture. And that can also include faith-based traditions, because in this course we will learn about Judaism, Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, and Buddhism. Those are the major 5 world religions. So all year, I'm going to be a broken record. When people trade goods, they also trade ideas. With movement, we'll look at maps where there's city A, city B, city C, and maybe the arrow from city A to city B is a smaller arrow, and that's representative of it's a smaller population that moved from A to B. But then from city A to city C, there's a larger arrow. So more people moved from A to C. Human environment interaction. It gets its own slide. We can abbreviate it as HEI. The key question we ask ourselves with this: what is the relationship between humans and their environment? So there are 3 ways to describe human-environment interaction. Humans adapt, humans depend or use, they also modify. So for modifying, humans change their environment to meet their needs. All of you have modified your homes so that you can do school from home. If you had homework, maybe you had a designated spot where you did that homework, but it wasn't designed for an all-day situation. Or your parents have had to modify the home environment so that they can do their work from home if that's how it happens. Most examples we're going to look at in this course, humans are changing physical environment to meet their needs. So we'll talk about canals. Canals bring water from a water source to where humans are for drinking and for crops. And I didn't finish my sentence here, but often humans modify their environment by demolishing landforms. Jumbo-sized corporations burn the rainforest so that they can have these large fields to plant. We destroy mountains and coastlines to mine and drill. Unfortunately, a lot of our modifications can have a negative impact, but it is humans modifying their environment. Humans can also adapt. So humans make changes to their behavior. Modifying, you're changing what's around you. Adapting, you're changing your behavior. A great example, whether it's for an ancient civilization or modern day, humans sometimes have to change their behaviors because of a drought. It's been several years since our region has had a very long drought, but on the West Coast, they don't have as much precipitation in their climate. Climate is a vocab word for this unit. Their climate as we do, and they have such a large population that they have to adapt their ways. They are asked to take shorter showers or fewer baths, or to make sure that they're not watering their lawn because there's only so much water at the time to meet the whole population during a drought. And then depend. Humans need resources. So this could be hunting a deer, getting some water from a water source without creating something to bring the water far away from the water source. Timber is also like a natural resource, and it can be used to build or for heat and energy. So again, location, where are you? Place, what is around you? Region is, again, something you can't always see. You have to listen to and learn about to describe that place. Movement, how are people getting, why are they moving? Another example of human-environment interaction, in large, heavily dense cities, heavily populated cities, there are subways or light rails. Humans have dug tunnels through the ground because there are so many people living in a place that they need extra support to move people around. So subways are a great example of how humans have modified environment. They dug tunnels under the ground. So these are two examples. Postcard 1. I'm having an amazing time in New York. I have visited beautiful lakes and gorgeous mountains. So lakes and mountains, that is an example of the theme place, okay? Then the subway cuts right under the city. That's an example of human-environment interaction. Humans have dug tunnels. Then talking about how there's a diverse population because 25 million immigrants have entered the U.S. This is movement. So postcard 2, there are again 3 examples. So after driving all night, we finally arrived in Atlanta, and these are GPS, the GPS gives these coordinates. Okay, this is an example of location and absolute location. Okay, then it talks about it's hot here. So hot, people call it Hotlanta. This is related to place. Okay, related to the place. It's describing the climate. Then the region, down here talks about a southern accent. Accents and dialects is how regions can be divided. Then there are different types of maps. We have a physical map, shows the land and water in a region. Political maps. Political maps have political divisions, usually for countries. We could look into counties, possibly. Thematic maps focus on political, economic, or social activities. A thematic map, as this is election season, is a map of the U.S. where some regions are red, some are blue for the 2 main parties, because we are a 2-party system and there are small minority parties. Some regions are green or other colors to represent those small parties. And then some regions could be purple to represent that there is a pretty even amount of red that represents Republican and blue that represents Democrat. We have the cartogram. We won't look at many cartograms. It distorts the size based on how much something is in a country or area. Flow line. Flow lines, I was describing with the different arrows. This is going to give us an idea of movement of people, goods, ideas, and religions. And we'll watch videos that work with information from flow line maps. Then a topographical map, we're looking at elevation.